invocation.
I invite you to join me in an attitude of prayer. Lord gracious God, who provides for us all that is needed, help us to receive all your gifts with grateful hearts, that we might be wise stewards of all that you entrust to us. We give you thanks for the rain that has come, even as we are concerned for those who have found themselves in the path of destruction, neighbors who have lost buildings and had other damage to their properties. And we are mindful that there are storms out there yet this evening, and we pray that you would be with people in our city, our county, our greater area. Protect them, we pray, through this night. And now we pray your particular presence with the City Commission as they gather together to do their work. Guide them in that work, give them wisdom and insight, give them a sense of the greater good, that they might do that which will provide for the best for all people in this community. Here's we always ask, in the name of the one who came not to be served, but to serve. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to the approval of minutes of April 18th, 2018.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of April 18th, 2018.
I have a motion by Mark. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Keaton seconds. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Moving on to the financial matters. Ordinance number 8.
I'll make a motion to approve appropriation ordinance number 8.
A motion by Mark to approve appropriation ordinance number 8. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second by Christie. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Moving on to public comments. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Hello, I'm Jenny Johnson, and I'm here because the city is no longer offering family passes for the swimming pool. Just state my case here. I am a mother of 3, and we frequented the pool at least 5 to 7 times last year a week. They're fish. They love swimming. I have nothing good but to say about our pool. It's clean, well ran, great management. I'm all in for renovations. I voted for that. I'm great with the $2 add-on to the bill. That's fine. What I don't like is the fact there's no family pass. I am part-time employed. I'm in nursing school. We're on a budget. It's the only way we make it work. So at the current rate, if I were to go 5 times a week, you're looking at $300 plus. It's not in our budget. It saddens me that I won't be able to take them that much. I mean, maybe once a week is all we're going to be able to do. And really, the only thing I can do is possibly take them to Belleville. It's $100 for the summer, and that's sad. I want to keep my money here. So I just really want you to rethink that, reconsider. I do have some facts about surrounding areas and their family passes if you want to take a look at that. Keep that, and I just hope you reconsider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Any other further comments? If not, moving on to, oh, I'm sorry.
Heather Workman, and I agree with Jenny, right, about not having a pool pass. We have 3 children of our own, and we have 3 foster children. They love going to the pool. I love the slides. My kids are super excited for that. But, you know, as she says, you know, who can afford to pay $300 for punch cards? You know, we won't be able to let our kids, you know, go to the pool as often, and they go all the time. I put my youngest, who is 6, in swim team, and another one of our boys is doing swim team. You know, it's a great thing that the city is updating the pool. I hope you reconsider doing the summer passes also.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Hi, I'm Ashley Marsh, and I'm just with these ladies here. I have 3 kids. We frequent the pool 3-4 times a week as well. Just not in our budget to do the punch cards. I also run a daycare, and I have a helper who take our kids, and I know our families wouldn't be able to afford that as well. So really hope you reconsider.
Thank you.
Ashley, can I ask a question? How do you handle pool admission for your daycare kids?
Their parents pay it when I do take them.
Okay, so
But a
do
lot
they
of them have passes as
passes?
well. Yeah, so they bring their pass with them. I think I
Okay.
only had one family last year that did not have a season pass. So I would hate to have a family opt out just because they can't afford it every
Sure,
time we
yeah,
go.
okay,
So.
thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? I want to thank all those that came out in this weather to give us your feelings on this subject. I appreciate that. This commission appreciates it. Thank you. Moving on to new business, the naming of the walking trail.
Mayor and Commissioners, you've received in your packet a memo that discusses the naming of the walking trail. I won't go over the entire history of the walking trail, but we are at a point with it. It was developed and was a vision by the former city manager, Larry Uri. It's come to fruition, which we're very excited about. We still have a little bit of work to do yet on lighting and signage, and we're getting quotes for signage as well right now. We also have a few events that are being planned out there. I know Chris is working with his recreation department to get some more events out there. We've had some with Walk Kansas. It's difficult for us to describe where people should go for the walking trail without a name for it, so we want to make sure that we named it. We did hold a community-wide contest in April to name the walking trail. We had a committee of city staff, and Christy represented the commission on that committee. We narrowed down the suggestions. I believe we had about 25 suggestions, narrowed it down to 3 finalists. And we have most of those represented here this evening. We have Christina Frost. Christina, do you want to come here and join me? We have Fallon Atkins. Fallon, do you want to come here and join me? Come on up here. And then we have one other finalist. His name is Ronald Freiberg. He was a former Concordia resident and now lives in Nelson, Nebraska. He had intended to join us this evening, but we did receive word today that he was not going to be able to travel here. So we'll be communicating with him tomorrow to let him know the results. As you see in your packet, you have 3 different options. American Heritage Trail was the name suggested by Ronald Freiberg. Mary's Mile was suggested by Fallon. And Wakakan was suggested by Christina. I don't know, do you guys want to give a few words about how you came up with the name of the trail?
I don't have an extensive story. I was just kind of researching trail names when I saw this contest entry. I was so excited, and got to thinking they often have almost an indigenous people sound or an Indian sound about them, and I knew I wanted it to have something tied to Concordia or Cloud, and so I just came up with Wakakan Trail, and when I repeated it to myself, it just kept sounding like a trail, so I thought, that's what I'm going with. So that's my story.
She probably won't do the talking, so I will. My wife Maddie was a nurse for Levon Brousseau before she passed, and that's just kind of where it came from. Mary's her legal name, Mary Levon Brousseau, and since she donated a good portion, that's where it came from. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this time, we'd like to have the commissioners, I know you've had the information in your packet since Friday, we'd like to have you, if you need to discuss some items, but I'd like to have you go through and at this time, go ahead and select the name for the trail. Then we'll have the finalists come up, we have a prize for each one of them, we'd like to get a photo opportunity with you as the commission, and then we'll go from there. Later on this year, once we get the signage complete and the lighting complete, we'll have an official ribbon cutting for the trail, and at that time, we'll invite all 3 finalists back for the ribbon cutting. You
Well,
guys wanna discuss?
before we get in this, I'd like to thank everyone that took part in this. And these are all great names. We appreciate you taking interest in the city and doing this. Thank you.
Yeah, really, I like the idea of Mary's Mile. Kellen, good job. I think that she, with her contribution, really helped kind of make a difference in helping this come to fruition. I think it'd be great to be able to honor her. I think that it appears that there are going to be some signage that would contribute recognition to her. I like the idea of the Heritage Trail as an opportunity to sort of foster other tourism and other ideas about folks doing things and walking around in Concordia. So I really like that kind of helps expand people's awareness and opportunities within Concordia. I would probably be in favor of moving forward with the Heritage Trail. I think that's a good idea.
I will tell you that the committee really did labor over this, I think. Everybody has a different idea of how that should be identified. I am with you on the favorite. My favorite was the Heritage Trail. I don't like American Heritage Trail quite as much as just Heritage Trail, just because of simplicity. And so much of what our tourism in this community is about is just local heritage. Certainly that's all a part of American heritage, but that would be my preference as well. But I'm just going to tell you, it wasn't an easy thing, I don't think, for the committee to.
Mary's Mile just really rolls off the tongue. Wakakan too, I think I like that. And definitely, there's some other, makes me think of a song that probably was out several years ago, but so they all sound very nice, and I really like Mary's Mile. I think that was really sweet. I certainly appreciate the relationship there.
I think that, it is important, and we're going to do that, to honor her, on the signage, and, but I think Heritage Trail is, it's a good name, but they're all 3 very
They're all
good
good,
names.
yeah.
It'd be nice every year we just change the name.
Then nobody will know where they're going. I would make a motion that we choose the name Heritage Trail for the new walking trail.
I have a motion to accept Heritage Trail.
That was
is the
second.
name of it. Do I have it from Christine? Do I have a second?
Yep.
I have a second from Chuck. Any further discussion?
I'd like to say one thing. I think, if we're going to advertise this trail, and I think there's really an opportunity to incorporate all of the names, because Mary's going to be honored on the signage. We can call it the Heritage Trail, and somewhere in the advertisement that they could say, come to Concordia and walk a con on the Heritage Trail.
Integrate all 3.
Yep.
And you
Yeah,
can
I
integrate
like
all
that.
3 of them, seriously, I think.
Yeah.
We're doing that, but, okay.
Is there a special prize for our youngest finalist?
We have the same prize for everybody, we got this before we even do, so. Do you
I
guys
think
wanna go ahead and vote then, and then we'll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like Mark's idea. We kind of incorporate all 3 of them,
Yeah.
because I think they all make sense.
Well, and somebody mentioned WakaCon sounds like a great title for an event.
Yes.
And I
Yeah,
think that's a great idea.
yeah,
start at the trail.
on the Heritage Trail, yeah.
Then I would hope that if we go with Heritage Trail, that we also then incorporate the different parts of Concordia. That's really been a part of what we've taken from
Yeah.
the Mother House to
And
the
Yeah, Amy has some great ideas with the signage that really I hadn't thought about, but one of the things that came up was, I can't think of the name, the little things that you can scan with your cell phone.
QR codes.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
get more information and maybe even a link to a map.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I think that the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Yep.
There's the
Keep pushing that,
event.
Christine.
Yeah, so anyway.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor then, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Heritage Trail.
You guys want to come on up here, we'll get your photo and present you with your prizes? Our goal with the prizes was to have something wellness related, so everybody can. Good job,
Again, thank you. Thank you for.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for participating.
Next up, airport parking lot bids.
Good evening. Are you gonna put up a picture, or are we just gonna go with it? Okay. Yep, that'll work. Basically, a week ago, we put out to bid or about a month ago, we put out to bid the project for the parking lot and entrance road for the airport. Had a successful bid last week with 5 prospective bidders. Just looking at the airport, I'm just going to walk through it real quick. I've been here talking about this maybe a couple different times, but right in front of the main hangar, which is on the bottom of the drawing, the taxiway apron area is on the right side there. Hey, cool, laser. This is the taxiway out to the runway. The runway is over here off to the side on the wall. Here's the main terminal building. Here are the extra buildings, hangars down here, and then the other taxiway to the Nestlé hangars up here. Here is the RMA building where they're remodeling, and then the tower. The existing parking lot sits right here, about exactly like we have, with the drive going down the road. It is deteriorated to asphalt, gravel, not in very good shape. So we went with FA money on a 90-10 match for design and construction to basically do this in new concrete. We've got new stalls with ADA accessibility, some stalls in the middle, which we use to basically widen it to try to get the exact amount of payment there that was there today that will be there in the future. And then a new drive up to the road, or up to the parking lot, curb and gutter on both sides. There will be a new inlet structure here underground with an outlet here. Today, in fact probably right now, there's a bunch of water going across the top of the road, Airport Park Road right here, washing out the side. So all in all, pretty good improvement to the airport. Gonna be a nice project. We got 5 successful bids, or 5 bidders. The 4 higher ones were in the $300,000 to $330,000 range. The low bid was Voight's Parga out of Newton, Kansas, $264,000. The ad alternate is simply shown. It's a non-FAA eligible portion. It is the removal of existing apron, or whatever, not apron, I would say parking lot area to the east of the RMA building. For whatever reason, FAA said we're not going to fund anything up there because we're not building anything new up there. So that's what that's for. It's 100% city match. What I put in there is, this is their base bid. If you take 10% of that, it's $26,425 plus $913 gives you the $27,000. So you can see kind of how it broke down. If you add in the engineering fees associated with that, which we were approved months ago, I think that was about $45,000 or so, a little less than 5. So you're probably looking at a total of about $32,500 or so of the local match. And I think that's right about where we budgeted. So we've worked with Voight's Parga. I'm sorry, Brad Waller with Alfred Benison Company. For those of you that don't know me, we've worked with Voight's Parga at other airports, Ellsworth and some others. We really have no issues with them. They've done good work. So we have no issue recommending that we go with them as the lowest responsible bidder. So That any questions?
Yeah, I do. Could we go back to the picture? So there's not going to be any parking then in between that, what, A&R building?
So which one?
Uh, R&M
RMA
building.
right here?
Right, so there's going to be no parking in there?
Right there, where
Right.
the arrow is?
No.
No.
Okay,
If they want to plan to do something in there later, they can extend over and do that.
well, I know, but then if we have the lines across, there'd be no way for them to get into it.
Well, we're just putting parking blocks there so them can go away if they want. RMA's not gonna do nothing. I've talked with Jason Rourke, and they're just gonna park right there because their sidewalk goes right up in front of them.
Okay.
And use that. And that's even less expense for them.
Commissioner Sager, we had an issue, I'll go through, they only pay for what you need, or not what you need, what you can justify size-wise and all that. So we worked to justify that many parking stalls. We had to
Okay.
show it. The issue that we wanted to go with, or we struggled with, is that RMA building is quote-unquote a private use, private business. And we were worried that FAA would come in and say, okay, because they're a private business, they need to kick in half or whatever percent. So we were trying to play that very carefully to make sure that it was shown as a public parking lot. As such, when we first did it, we just had one drive lane here and parking stalls here. So the parking lot essentially shrunk by about 35 feet or so, I'll say something like that. Which the airport board, and I know Ron, they weren't really happy with. They wanted that basically it's all paved there now. So we struggled with how to do that. That's why you've got this kind of a funky little angle parking in the middle, is we needed to justify 2 drives with the parking to get that thing widened back out to what it is today. And all the while not talking about a private business on there, which is why we did it. We did look at options for getting up into here and what it would cost. We added, stalls like right here, basically, if you call it like front end.
Right.
And by the time to get there, you would take away probably 3 stalls here. And by the time you added 5 or 6 stalls here, you're only netting like 2 or 3. And you were adding about $20,000 to the project that FA wouldn't pay for.
That makes sense.
So that's kind of how we got to this point. And does that answer your question? I guess?
No, that's the answer.
That's why we got to that point. We did look at options about it, but it just economically did not make sense with FA's.
I'll say, seeing that area, that ones in the middle have to have these pretty small cars.
Actually, it's bigger than you think. You could fit trucks in there. I mean,
Okay.
it's bigger than you think. And the other thing we did too is when the fuel trucks come in, they'll be able to make this move. Actually, it's right here is the new
Yeah.
the connection. They'll be able to make that move. It helps with that too. So,
Super.
like I said, all in all, it's gone really well. Good project. Construction. What we'll do is I'm asking for you to approve them as the contractor, contingent upon FAA funding. Okay, we're gonna take it, we're gonna put the bid package together, sign the contracts, and all that, send up to FAA. And then in 2 weeks to 3 months, or whenever it is they get back and give us the go-ahead, we'll coordinate with them to get going. The contract has in completion by December of this year. We don't care if they start in August or November, as long as it doesn't take more than about 40 days to get done.
Okay.
So that fits into their calendar.
Do we need anything in the language of the motion indicating contingent upon FAA approval, or is that?
I usually ask that, yeah, just say the motion is contingent upon, that way you're not held.
Yeah.
If for some reason FAA gets all their funding pulled and they're not there 2 months from
I
now,
don't want to be on that.
you don't want to be on the hook for it. You just say, yeah, contingent upon FAA participation.
Contingent upon FAA funding, I move to accept the bid from Voight's
Voight's Parga.
Parga Construction LLC for the amount of $27,339.05 for the airport parking lot.
I have a motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Keaton. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you. Have a safe night.
You too. Safe travels.
Resolutions, 2018, 2069, demo policy amendment.
Could you get that policy on the screen for me? I think you guys have a copy of it in the the packet, the highlighted section. Basically, well, I just added some wording because we've had a couple of incidents where people haven't hauled their construction debris from demo program houses to the landfill, so. And then I didn't realize when I was rereading it that it said that the homeowner had to get the permit, and I was looking at that, so I added the word "or demolition contractor," because they typically are the ones that come get the permit, because they
Sure.
know when to pull it in relation to their timing of getting the work done and stuff, so. Want to clear it up and make people go to the dump like their state requires, and then we're gonna have them bring us receipts before we refund them back to the owner.
I think that makes sense. Very good.
The only question I had in this, Bruno, and I don't know that this is really any big issue, but would there be any merit in modifying the language, section 10, disposal of debris to shall be disposed of at the Cloud County solid waste site or other similarly approved site? I mean, I can't think of why anybody wouldn't want to bring it there, but just.
No, the state is, you're required to take it there according to state law. There's two options when you
Okay.
tear down a house. You either have to take it to the approved site, which is a county landfill, construction debris pit, or you can bury it on site, but you have to get a waiver from the state so that it's basically an easement that says there's a buried construction debris here, so don't build on it.
Okay.
For 20 or 30 years. So that's your options. Now, the state does allow you to bring clean rubble to an approved, it can be dumped in a creek wash or anything. That is concrete, even concrete with rebar, brick, masonry, debris, those kind of things can be hauled for landfill, and a lot of the demo contractors, few of them have places where they go, and there's actually some county residents that like the demo contractors know they can bring their concrete rubble and their limestone foundations and those kind of things out there legally dump it. But the actual organic material, the tuba floors, the shingles, those products have to go to the county landfill by state law.
They can't transfer from one county to another either.
Only under special circumstances are they allowed to go to a different county, and that's if, say, the site is 5 miles closer to go to the other counties than 25 miles across the county or something like that. That's under special circumstances they can take it.
Fair enough. I couldn't see why, if you're breaking it down here, why you would want to take it over to Mitchell County. I mean, if somebody wanted to take trash.
Well,
that's fine.
sometimes, the landfills has fees, and a lot of contractors can run a credit, and then pay it monthly or whatever. But then if they don't pay, then they can't bring it there, so then they try to sneak it over to the next county. Things like that go on sometimes.
It wasn't a major question, so that clarifies it.
Any further discussion? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve resolution 2018-2069.
I have a motion by Mark. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 2018-2069 demo policy amendments approved. Managers report.
Mayor, can we go back to the previous motion? The motion was made for the city's match. If we could have a motion for the full.
Oh, for the full
bid
amount?
And then note whether it will be for the alternate bid as well.
Yeah, let me get there.
So we have a motion.
Just so you know, you might authorize the city manager to enter into the contract when it comes back from FAA. Also with that, unless you want us to bring it back to you and do the mayor.
Okay.
So we're covered, because you're approving it now, basically, and if the FAA funds it.
Okay, so we need to amend two of them. First of them is, you need for the amount on there?
We need the total bid amount.
I think the motion was made for the 27,000.
Yeah, just
For the
for the city
Concordia.
Right, for the
match.
Concordia match. That's what was the motion, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
but we need it for the
Full amount?
full amount.
Plus the
Okay,
alternate.
so we need a motion to accept Full Paga Construction LLC for the base amount of $264,255.45 for added additional $913.50. Concordia match $27,339.05.
Yeah.
So do we have a motion? to
Contingent.
accept? No.
Contingent upon.
Contingent.
Con-
FAA
con-
approval.
Contingent on FAA approval.
Yes.
And add to that, and then if FAA approval, that our city manager, Amy Lang, can sign the contract.
Maybe we need two motions for that. It can
So-
all be in
You
one.
can do it all.
So upon FAA approval, I would move to accept the bid from Voight's Parga Construction LLC for $264,255.45 plus the alternate of $913.50 with Concordia's match of $27,339.05, authorizing city manager to sign the contract.
And FAA approval.
FAA approval.
That started.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
said
Preface
that.
it.
Yeah.
You said FAA approval, but I think it needs to be FAA participation. Is that correct?
Well, either
They've
way.
already approved it, right?
If they approve it, they'll match it.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So upon FAA approval and match. Okay.
Yeah, the confirmation of
Okay.
FAA approval.
So
Is that-
whatever Chuck said, do I have a second?
A second.
Does that work, Stacy?
Yeah, sorry,
No, that's.
No,
that's-
that's
I was
fine.
trying to look at this before, and I thought maybe it was 274,000, and you just left the number out, and then I got to looking later. So, no, that sounds.
So I have a second from Keaton. Any further discussion? If not, all approved, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thanks.
Motion passes.
Thanks for your clarification.
Thank you.
We ready to move on?
I was ready to move on before,
Sorry, we held you up there. First, I'd like to start out, and
Everybody.
need to give some credit where credit was due. We were talking about the walking trail. The QR code suggestion was actually made by Eric Voss as part of that committee, so I wanted to make sure that he got the credit for that. It's an excellent idea, so we appreciate that. Sales tax report, we've got that in here. Want to just mention real quickly, the April sales tax is down for both the city and the combined city county by about 7%, but overall year-to-date, January through April, we're still up about 3.5%, city and city county combined. So year-to-date, it's looking good. April looks like to be a rough month. We hope May gets better. So get out there and buy something local. Public Service Recognition Week is next week, May 6th through May 12th, so we are going to be doing a little bit of additional publicity. We're going to be using some photos that we got from this week. We'll send them to the league. They'll tag us on their Facebook and Twitter accounts, and then we'll put up some things at Broadway Plaza and here on our Facebook account as well, just recognizing all those who do work in public service and the good that they do for the community. And finally, wanted to address a little bit about pool admission and passes. We did have several community members who got up here and spoke tonight, and we also received a memo earlier. I emailed it on to you from Janet Eubanks expressing the same concern, wanting to reinstate pool passes. We've had a lot of discussion about it here for the last week. We've done a lot of research. Commissioners, I did send you a memo earlier this week about kind of how we came to our decision and why we came to our decision. So wanted to go over that a little bit briefly here with you this evening. We felt we had three goals. One of the goals the commission had stated was to minimize our net loss. We lose about $80,000 a year in pool operations, so we wanted to make sure that we maintained that and did not grow that loss. Another thing we wanted to do as a result of adding this slide is we wanted to increase attendance at the pool, and we need to be able to measure that adding the slide increased pool attendance. We also wanted to address the goal of efficient operations at the front desk or with the admissions process. So that's everything from the front desk at City Hall where we sell passes, where we sell punch cards, to the front desk of the pool where they take general admission and they check those passes and they punch the punch cards and let people in. We want that to be as smooth as possible. So as we were going through that, we decided this year might be the year to go ahead and eliminate the use of passes. After doing a little bit more research comparing to what I'm going to call our local competitors are, and that we included as Belleville, Washington, Clay Center, Beloit, and Salina. We figured those were the places that people would drive to more readily than going to our pool if they felt like they were getting a better deal or a better experience at those pools. We found that each of those pools does offer a family pass still. They do offer a single pass still. So by elimination of pool passes, well, we're meeting a goal of efficiency because we're just punching a card. We're not having to worry about whose name is on the list and are we communicating that from City Hall down to the pool and back. Are we checking that? Do we need to consider selling passes at the pool and get into cash management issues? We were thinking that as efficiency, we should change those punch cards. We also know that especially for those who frequently use the pool, when they use passes, they're getting a deeply discounted rate. And so if we have a lot of people on pool passes at a deeply discounted rate, we run the risk of increasing that gap in revenue. So that those were some considerations that were given there. But we also know that if we want to increase attendance, we need to make it very palatable for those that need to come in, and having those pool passes makes people believe that they are getting a great deal, especially if they frequent the pool probably more than 5 times a week. The pool pass is beneficial for them, or if they have a very large group on that pool pass, it is also beneficial for them. We also realize that if we want to track that attendance data, and we really want to say it's attributed to the slide, we need to keep as many other variables constant as we possibly can. So for those reasons, we are looking at, we do want to reinstate the pool passes. We think that that's the right thing to do. Additionally, there was an NCK Today survey out last week, and you were kind enough to share the results with me. On that, we had 300 total voters, and of that, 58% wanted both the punch cards and passes, 25.6% wanted group passes as well, and additionally 6.4% like the current punch card option. Now, my interpretation of that is we did make some changes with the punch card options this year too. As if we took away the passes, we also added 2 levels of punch cards, which increased a volume discount and got down to $1.33 per punch. So it was a pretty deep discount. We also recognize that our primary audience for pool attendance is school-age children, as well as young families here in town. So that's the audience that we really need to listen to if we're going to listen to an audience, because those are the ones that actually go to and use the pool. We had family passes back in 2016, and we said those had to be under one roof or as part of one household, which is fairly consistent with what our other competitor pools are doing as well. In 2017, we changed that to a group pass, meaning you didn't have to have related family members on that pass. The reason that we did that was we were trying to address a goal of if a family has hired a babysitter that's actually taking the kids to the pool for the summer because mom and dad are at work, or if you have grandma doing the same thing, taking the kids to the pool while they're at work, that allowed us to be able to add those folks to that pass. What we found is that didn't work in the way that we anticipated. We had a lot of use of those group passes. We also found that, again, our competitors are keeping that a family pass. Now, we also have no way to prove a household. We know that we're not going to ask for proof of residency from a 5-year-old, for example. That's a little bit difficult to do. That's a little bit much to ask of our patrons. So what we're proposing to do for this year to reinstate the passes, we do want to make a few minor changes, again, with those goals of efficiency as well as maintaining cost and serving our public all in mind, and trying to balance those a little bit better. We proposed going back to what we had in 2016, was a family pass. Talked a little bit this morning after I sent you the memo, and a little bit of tweaks to that. I'll start at the top of this. Our pool opens May 26th, we close August 12th. That's approximately 11 weeks. If you take out a few bad weather days, let's use a round number of 10 weeks to kind of think about how long we have. If we have a daily admission of $2 per admission, that's kind of our starting point, and that's our barometer or our constant, our metric. We have 3 levels of punch cards that we're offering this year. Last year we had 1 level, and that was the 10 punch card. The price for that did go up $2, so that would be $1.70 per admission, which is still less than the $2 daily admission. You get volume discounts, so if you go down to 20 punches, you get that for $30, which is $1.50 admission. And I did this really fast, so Stacy, Amber, you guys need to stop me if I got the wrong prices on here. Did we get them correct? Okay. Then we can add up to 30 punches for $40, and that takes your per admission price down to $1.33 per punch cards. Punch cards have no expiration date. If you buy those and you don't use them, you can use them again next year, and we want to keep that. We think that that's a good benefit as well. If you think of that you pretty much have 10 weeks of swimming pool time, if you bought the 30 punch card for $40, that would be going about 3 times a week, and you could break even on what you spent on that punch card. And you'd still get a better deal than the daily $2 admission, so that's a good thing. If we shift over to passes, our passes are good for 1 season. They expire at the end of the season, and we require people to provide their names on the passes. That's the way we've done it for the past several years. That would not change. The reason that we do that is when we buy passes, we track a sheet here at our office. We send that sheet down to the pool. When people bring their pass to their pool, the cashier keeps track of who on that pass is coming underneath that pass. That helps us to hold people accountable and make sure that they actually paid for their passes. It also helps us in our attendance tracking data. How much are our single passes used? How much are our family passes used? And in the memo that I sent to you, we had that table that showed some of that usage data. We have a single pass that's an unlimited usage for $50. So again, if you divide that by 10 weeks, single pass would be a great deal for an individual if they go at least 5 times a week. The family pass is unlimited usage for that season, and I put in there that it would range from $100 to $130. The reason I put that in there is your base price for your pass is going to be $100 for 4 people, and then you can add up to 3 more people for $10 a piece, which is $30. So that's how I get to the $30. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
That's how you get to the $130. So what we're proposing for this year is, let's say the family pass, our intention is for it to be under one household. And basically we would start with 4 people, which we would assume would be, in general, 2 adults and 2 children, and that would be for $100. We could add up to 3 additional kids for $10 a piece. That's still a great deal compared to a single pass for those additional kids. One thing we'd like to propose this year to help address that goal of that babysitter or that grandma that may take the kids to school but may not live under that roof, you can swap out one immediate family daycare provider for one adult or one child. And so we have what the combinations of those would look like in the different scenarios. And I think we've addressed our most common scenarios that we typically see for our target audience here. So you can see how that goes up the number of people, what the cost of the family, and the different combinations of parents, kids, and daycare providers that would come there. We also believe that with this option, by reinstating the passes in this manner and having the 3 levels of punch card, we can still address the need for group daycares. As Ashley said, when she got up here, she runs a in-home daycare. She usually relies on the parents to go ahead and buy a pass or a punch card for her kids, and then they get into the pool that way. We know that we have CAP, that's a center. They rely on their kids to do the same thing, to have the family passes in that manner as well. My kids in particular go a few days a week to the Lutheran Church to their summer program. And they, again, rely on parents to buy the passes. Last year, they were able to capitalize on the group punch card ideal, and they split the cost between the parents. The parents still paid. So under this scenario, those daycares could do either option. They could continue to rely on the parents to provide the passes, or they could continue to have the parents buy the punch card, or the group could buy the punch card, and then they could spread that cost out to the parents. So options still exist for daycare centers, I guess is my point on that. Does anybody have any questions about this or how this might work?
The question in my mind, there was someone that spoke that said that they had basically 6 children.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this, you can add, so with if mom and dad and the 6 children, what option would be for them?
Mom and dad and 6 children. That's a scenario that we don't have very common. And the piece of information I didn't get that what I was going to try to get was what's the average size of family in Concordia. And I did not get that data. For them,
I guess what I'm wondering is
Yeah.
if it's within household and,
Mhm.
and we can demonstrate that it's within household, could we continue to add the $10 per person being added onto it?
I think that would be a reasonable request if you could demonstrate that. It would make it challenging for us on the front end, but I think that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think
I agree with that, yeah.
I do too.
it's either that or 6 or more, or is that price. But yeah, adding $10 per person, I think.
$10 per person for a summer is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that's pretty
to be able to go to
That's-
the pool.
That's comparable to going 5 times paying the general daily
Yeah.
admission rate. And again, that's our barometer, is
Mhm.
is that daily admission rate.
Yeah.
And I absolutely appreciate that this is going to be a little bit complicated on the front end and certainly with pool staff, and I absolutely appreciate what that'll involve. I think that's, we're in a service industry, and it is
Mhm.
our job to serve our residents, so it
It
might be a
is.
little more complicated, but that's part of the task we take on.
It is, that's one of the goals, and it is a tough balancing act because we're working within our budgetary constraints, within our labor constraints, and Chuck, I know you and I had a conversation about some of the labor constraints that we have, based on the lifeguards that we're hiring. We rely heavily on high school age lifeguards, which then puts in some labor restrictions for us too, so that it creates some challenge there. Another thing that we'd like to implement this year, and this is gonna help us out on the efficient management side of things, as I mentioned, we sell the passes at City Hall, everybody's used to that, they know that that's the drill. Then our front desk staff has to take that information and communicate it down to the pool so that it can be used. What we found in the past happens is that people will come here, they will buy their pass, they will go down to the pool, and they will expect their name to be available right then. The easiest way for us to communicate that information is via email. We have the name spelled correctly, we don't mispronounce the name, things of that nature. But the cashier may not always have that information right in front of them, so we do have some phone calls. But as that goes on throughout the season, it really causes a lot of confusion on those sheets that cashier is responsible for maintaining. So what we'd like to propose for this year is doing a method similar to what Beloit does already. And that's that we'll have the early bird rate, which is your basic rate here, available up through May 25th. That's the Friday before the pool opens. Then the first 2 weeks that the pool's open, we propose adding an additional $25 premium onto that price. And the reason that we do that is we've already sent the pass sheets down to the pool, and now every time a pass changes, we have to update that sheet, get it to the pool so that it can be used in a timely manner. And that is an additional administrative burden on our staff to be able to constantly change that throughout the day, again, in an effort to serve the folks that are getting to the pool in a timely manner. And then after June 8th, which would be the first 2 weeks of the season, we propose to stop selling passes, but still have the daily rate and the 3 options of punch cards available. So, and like I said, Beloit's already doing that. It's working well for them. Same reasons, to try to minimize that absolute chaos the first couple of weeks, to make sure that we're serving our pool attendees as best we can, to say, yes, we have your name on the list, you're ready to go, rather than, oh, I have a sheet from 3 hours ago, or I have a sheet from 2 days ago, and we're now 4 weeks into the pool season, and we're still working through that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I think we really have to get that out to the public so
Yep.
they know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because so there's no surprises.
Looking at you too,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right there.
our city attorney.
Yeah.
I put it on my Facebook.
Well, you are a PIO, right?
Yeah,
There you go.
Amy, last year, we had a foster parent come, do you remember that? With concerns because they couldn't add anybody. Foster children move in and out, you just never know, you can't plan on them being here or somewhere else. How would that be handled if they had a family pass and a kid moved out, another kid
Dynamics
moved
of the family
in?
changes.
Yeah, dynamic, exactly.
Yeah, I would say that in general, I'm gonna say as you buy the pass, the names have to be listed at the beginning. In general, that works for, I'm gonna say, for 90% of the people. In a foster care situation, I understand that situation, kids are coming in and out. That would be an exception that I would be willing to make, to change out a name for a foster
Right.
care, if they move in, if they move out, that kind of thing. That
Okay.
makes a lot of sense. However, if you have a situation where you have a niece or nephew coming for 2 weeks out of the year, that's not gonna be something that I'm gonna be willing to make an exception for, to say, let's swap out a name on the pass for this 2 weeks during the
Right.
summer.
Correct.
That doesn't make sense, because they're not moving in there permanently. The intention of this is under one roof, under a household. And again, we have those punch card options, so we have an option available for that niece or nephew that are coming in for a couple
I
weeks.
think that's a real
That's still better
reasonable-
than the daily rate admission. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Very good.
I know that we did have some constituents that were very upset or did not quite understand kind of how our agenda and how our processes work here. They were expecting this item to be listed as a specific agenda item, and I just want to address that real briefly. And that's that, there's certain things that are policy decisions, and I'm thinking of like the 100,000 50-foot flyover that you as commissioners are elected to oversee and make sure that that happens. And then we get down to the 10, 15,000 foot, and we're down in the weeds, we're on the ground, we're making sure everything is clicking along right, and that's an administrative decision, and that's why we have our team here to make those decisions. So the commission rightly made the decision of, yes, we're going to buy the water slide. There's a threshold, it was over $5,000, you had to make that decision for that purpose. Where we place the slide in the pool, for example, the colors of the slide are generally an administrative decision. As far as the passes go, the commission rightly made the decision, are we gonna charge or are we not gonna charge? And you gave us the consensus that we need to stay at that daily rate basis. That is a policy decision, to charge or not to charge. But how we administer the charges, I'm viewing, as has been in the past, as an administrative decision. So because the commission did not vote on this, that's why we did not place it as an agenda item. And we don't have a great avenue right now for two-way communication between the public and the commission as a whole. We have guest comments where they can come up here and speak. We have recommendations from our governing body folks that advise us to say we don't engage in a lot of back and forth. We have a manager's report that I can get up here and state like I am now, and we have a study session opportunity. One of the options that we did consider was, should we put this on as a study session? But with this being May 2nd and the pool opening in 24 short days, if we did a study session and delayed to the next meeting, that's not a lot of time to get information out about how we're gonna do passes. So that's why we handled it this way. Commissioners, again, I report to you, so if you want something handled differently, please call me, let's talk about it, and let's make sure that we're doing things the way that you see would be agreeable in the future. But that's the way we handled it for this time. So beginning tomorrow, we will be advertising that the passes are again available and what parameters they're available, but at least you know now kind of what we're what we're heading toward and kind of why we did what we did. The method to the madness.
I appreciate your flexibility in making a change when you got feedback from people in Concordia, because I've heard a lot of that feedback as well, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think,
And that may not always be possible. I know one of the things that I'd like to say is you as a commissioner are gonna make a decision, we as administration are gonna make a decision sometimes. And sometimes we're gonna need to reconsider those, and sometimes as we reconsider them, we know we'll be able to change them, and sometimes we won't. And so we appreciate the public's support and willingness to have the conversations with us, but know that sometimes we can say yes and sometimes we can say no, so.
I have
That's
one more
great.
question about admission to the pool, and I appreciate the difference between policy and, but I heard a number of people my age say, oh, man, 65 and over. Well, I'm not 65, just in case you were wondering.
No, you already clarified that.
Okay. They're gonna go down the slide because there's no admission charged. Is that gonna stand? 65 and over is
Yeah.
without a
Yeah.
charge,
Four-
and
four-
4 and under?
4 and under and
So
65
that will
and over
change
will
the
still be
dynamics of
pre-admission
that.
as well. And
Family
that's,
pass as well.
yeah, and that's something too that we think of as we look on that revenue side. Now, we are maintaining that everybody who comes in the gates, even if they're not going to swim, they pay. But we are gonna keep those ages, that under 4 and over 65 as free. We think that that's a good service, so.
Well-
And the reason for that, in case anybody asks, we charge at the gate to get in because our lifeguard's job, once you're inside the gate, is to save lives and watch those in the water. They don't need to be policing whether somebody paid or not.
Yeah.
So that's the rationale for that.
Well, I think you have the opportunity, whether you take advantage of that or not. This is part of coming into it.
Sure.
Well, thank you for looking after me. I appreciate that.
Happy to do it, Sam.
Thank you for letting me use this time to be
Thank
able to
you.
share that.
Thank you.
All righty, commissioner comments.
The lot on the 400 block of 8th Street, is that, does the city still own that lot?
West Aid,
Yeah,
no, we sold that.
sold, okay.
What did we get, 25?
Oh,
I just wondered, because there was an RV park there, and I just.
Yeah.
That's the neighbors that bought it.
Oh, okay,
Neighbor right next door.
Yeah.
okay,
Marlon was his first name. I can't remember what his last name is.
okay.
But he bought that just for that purpose. He's gonna put his camper.
Oh, that's fine. I didn't know if we still owned it, and I thought we had somebody squatting.
No, he bought it.
Okay, good deal, good deal. And just comment, I'm really glad that we are reinstating those passes, because I've had a few people just in the past few days confront me with that, and I think it's great that the public can see that we do listen to the public, and that we can make changes, you know, so it's a good deal. And I appreciate all the work that everybody's done, so. That's it.
I'd echo Mark's statement about that. The constituents who's able to bend my ear the most is excited to know that there's a possibility for the family passes return. So it's been something that our family's benefited from. And I think, too, trying to balance out, as you said, increasing attendance, decreasing loss, but increasing efficiency. I'm sure that that's a difficult balance to achieve, especially when we know that it's going to be a while if ever our pool ever makes money. I see it kind of as a quality of life issue, and so I'd love to see that pool packed, and I think we have a better likelihood of being able to do that as opposed to generating income. With that, too, I've seen a lot of comments being made, and none that have been made to me personally, but I guess just a point of clarification for anybody who's listening. You know, the additional fee on the water bill was not to address admittance, but rather specifically for the equipment. And I think that's maybe a misunderstanding that some folks have, that's where that money went or is supposed to go towards. So it's equipment, not attendance. And finally, Amy and the rest of the staff, I absolutely appreciate the responsibility that the commission has and the responsibility you have as city employees. And I'm not a huge fan of micromanagement. I think that we hire you to do the jobs that you do because we trust that you'll be able to do those jobs. So appreciate some of the difference, and understand that there are times when we may have different conversations that we need to have, but appreciate the job that you all do. And there's no way I could fix a water main or run a rec league or look at books or figure out a demolition plan, put out a fire, solve a crime. I could probably solve some crimes, maybe. I wouldn't want to test that theory, but
Create some guys.
definitely capable of that. That's a different way. So anyway, very much appreciate city staff and don't want to ever be considered as a micromanager, so appreciate that.
Keaton?
Same as everybody else, I think this is a great idea, and my family's gonna utilize it. We've got 3 kids too, so I understand where they're coming from on that, and it does add up in a hurry. Also, as Chuck was saying, that I've had a lot of people commenting on the $2 that it was supposed to be a paid admittance to the pool, as long as everybody knows that this goes to the equipment, and that, that was the avenue we took with that. Other than that, I appreciate this happening, everything changing, and listening to the community, so.
Christie?
Well, I'll echo that, and I know that it's not always an easy position to be in. But I want to let you know that there is a great deal of excitement among the elementary and middle school age population of our community about those slides. So that needs to be, I hope there's going to be a ribbon cutting or something.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah.
have a contest, whatever. No, we need to have some type of thing to see who's the
Yeah, you know
first to go
what?
down the
Maybe,
slide.
you know what would be really cool? You told them that? It might be kind of fun to have a drawing at on the last day of school, maybe. And I don't know if everybody who is a student, or everybody who wants to participate. I don't know, but
Whatever student wins, then gets to pick one of the commissioners to go down.
yeah. Well, leave my name off the list because I won't be around to see it. But I'll be looking forward to seeing the picture in the paper or on KNCK. So that's all I have. There's a lot of excitement about these slides.
I'd like to go on record and thank the Lions Club and the Rotary and Ron and his crew for planting trees in the park on Arbor Day. That was really nice. And then also, I don't know if any of you attended, but POW camp this last weekend, that was really something. And they had some good items out there, and there's a lot of education out there, and quite a bit of people that came and went, and I thought that was something really nice for the city. That's it. Staff comments.
I'll just get a little plug for Monty Wentz and a few other Methodist Church volunteers. They came out Sunday and painted and edged walk-ups at the complex for about 3.5 hours as they're part of their community outreach cleanup. I can't remember. Change the world. That's what it is. So they did a great job, and a lot of man hours they put in a short amount of time. So it was great, appreciated. So.
Thank you.
Thanks to them.
Just kind of a quick reminder after yesterday, we're in storm season and we're trying to use that text caster. We're still new to it, but we're gonna be slapping out information on that as we can as we're out storm chasing. So if you haven't signed up for that, it's a good information process.
It works.
It does work.
I like it,
Yep.
yeah.
Between that and Toby on the radio, boy, I knew where I was safe.
At least you knew where you were staying.
Yeah. I felt that I knew.
I think I can talk. Now, we'll call me staff right now. A couple quick things. We've been talking about the pool and the $2 on the water bill and stuff like that. I have been approached by quite a few people, and I've seen it on social media as well. There's a lot of people that they must have missed the vote because they have assumed all along that the pool was supposed to be free to get into, and we just willy-nilly decided not to charge or to start charging a fee to get back in. So I think it's important. I wanted to say it in this public forum, and I also think maybe just so that we're aware, so if someone's approached, we can, remind them as well that, they voted, in fact, to not only do the slide, when we put it out in the water bill, but they also voted to not have admission be free. There's just been a lot of, I think, miscommunication, and I think a lot of that stems from social media and some of our social media warriors. So,
I think to clarify too on that, the vote was not an official vote, but rather a gathering and collection of opinions.
Yes, and that was what we were looking for in order to make that,
Right.
to help us
But
guide
this
in that
wasn't an
decision.
official-
Wasn't an official vote, no. And then also the text caster, a lot of people had mentioned that they were really happy with it, because there's some folks in some little nooks and crannies of our community that can't necessarily hear that tornado siren, so, well done.
Yep, that's
Thanks.
very good. Yeah, on that survey, 60% of the people said.
Yeah, that's
No,
what I
great.
kind of tried to explain to them, said, well,
It was kind of like the same people who didn't read it when it was sent to them in the first place, and well, I didn't get a chance to vote for that, so.
well, and a lot of them said they voted for it because they didn't want people from out of town not having to pay to get in. But they don't want to have to pay to get in though, and I was like, well, that's not really how that works, so.
Any other comments? Officer Vickers.
Yeah, I don't know if I qualify for staff, but, appreciate you letting me address the city commission and everybody here. I just want everybody to know, I'm really proud to be here in Concordia. I really like my job. Really have a lot of fun out there. I really like interacting with the public and all, and, granted, I do some things that cause them grief, like writing in tickets and stuff like that. But for the most part, the citizens really appreciate all that we do. What I'd like to report today is at the RV park at the airport campground. There's really a popular place among the RV community. Each day that I work, I make an effort to patrol there. When I get out of my car and I talk to the RVers. And I just want to report to you that, the people that come here really like our park. They really like having that RV campground there. They just say it's a really pretty good place, for a little town that we have here. So, if the commission ever thinks about doing things for the RV park, I think the campers would enjoy it. I encourage people that come camping that they spread the word, that if you enjoy it here, spread it to your fellow RVers, and maybe we'll get more people coming to the campground. I don't know how well the campground does, with donations and stuff, but if there's money available to do any kind of improvements, I think that would be welcomed by the RV community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
A motion
Second.
by, first, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
It is done.